Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this is the very first opportunity which I have had since last year at the Wisconsin State Convention to look all of you in the eyes and to thank you for honoring me with the Beauvais Award. Now, it was important to have worked hard in the trenches for 23 years, longer than that really, but in the 7th District, 23 years in my county, and to have been awarded the Campbell Award, like most, if not all of you have received, because of your volunteerism on behalf of the Republican Party in your county. But last year, when I was honored to step onto the stage at the state convention in La Crosse and to have my name announced as the state party, at your request, handed me the Beauvais Award, was the most important award that I have ever received from my fellow citizens for stepping forward and volunteering for things that are important to me. So, thank you. I was talking earlier this morning, in fact, with somebody at my table, and many of you have no idea that way back in 1986, I was your nominee to challenge Congressman Dave Obey. And I have remained involved consistently and passionately, and most importantly, by helping to instill in my children and working with my wife the important conservative values that I have preached to you and with you and have heard from you for so many years. One of the speakers this morning talked about the importance of leadership. Quite frankly, we don't have until November to send a message to Madison. 340 Wisconsin residents every day for the last 14 months have lost their jobs. And I am calling on Senator Russ Decker this morning, and I will be sending a personal letter to him this afternoon, to convene an immediate session of the Wisconsin State Senate and to call upon his assembly colleagues to get to work in Madison, not after November, but starting next week, to solve the jobs crisis in our state and to implement some of the findings of the Wisconsin Jobs Now Task Force from March 2009 put forward by the Senate minority and the Assembly minority last year. Act 2 instead was passed by Senator Decker. Somebody mentioned leadership this morning. Well, in fact, we don't have until November. Senator Decker has been the Senate Majority Leader for several years. He was elected in 1990, 20 years ago. We should not reward his type of leadership with 24 years in the Wisconsin State Senate. And let me say to you that Russ Decker has actually invited this challenge, in my view. Every time Senator Decker is back in the district, including last week Friday on Pat Snyder's radio show on WSAU, he tells two big lies. He says that legislative Democrats have cut state spending and balanced the state budget. Neither, ladies and gentlemen, is true. State spending in the current budget is 6% higher than it was in the prior state budget. Wisconsin, in fact, has the largest per capita deficit than any state in the nation, including California. Such publications as the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post often cite Wisconsin as one of the 5 states in the worst fiscal trouble. In the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, something about which I know a lot about, having created a number of jobs and starting a business 21 years ago, employing 9 employees in the financial services business. In the private sector, Jeffrey Skilling, I don't know if the name rings a bell to you, but he went to prison for 24 years for similar misrepresentations of the financial condition of Enron. We should not be rewarding the government equivalent of a CEO engaged in fraudulent accounting with another 4 years in the state Senate. And with your help, we won't give him 4 more years. I just want to take another moment or so and say to you that having raised a family with 2 daughters in central Wisconsin is a highlight of my life. Having started a business and working with 800 families on their financial affairs, helping them to invest their money, solve mortgage problems, to solve how they're going to help pay their kids, part of their kids' way through college, to help them solve many other financial problems is a highlight of my business career. To have been elevated to the position of a Marine Corps sergeant in just 15 months from the date I left boot camp was an amazing reward from a lot of hard work by my Marine Corps peers and my superiors. Having served in the United States and abroad, and coming back to the United States, to a country that was very much changed after many years of the Vietnam syndrome, where our veterans were not at all rewarded and thanked for what they had done. Our country changed after the election of President Ronald Reagan. And having been a part of that return to this nation was a great honor and a privilege. And I was given the opportunity to be a leader in a number of aspects. Well, I'm now asking for the opportunity to be a leader in the state Senate, to replace the tired, old liberal policies of tax and spend of Governor Doyle and Senator Russ Decker. You know, last weekend I spoke at the Lincoln Day dinner. I'm not sure that I had the opportunity to remind or to let everybody know what I had been doing for the 2 prior days. But I want to share with you, I had the honor of talking to 350 returning Iraq War veterans last Friday night and Saturday, when I did some pro bono financial support work for those 32nd Brigade soldiers who just returned from overseas, and helping them and their spouses, those with spouses who were there, and sitting down and looking in their eyes. And somebody earlier talked about how scared people are. These young veterans coming back after doing the duty that we asked them to perform, and now scared about whether they're going to find the kind of work to take care of their families. They shouldn't have to choose solely based on whether they need to stay in the service in order to support their families. If they choose that option, that's great. But our state has a responsibility, our nation has a responsibility, and I hope that you will give me that privilege and that opportunity to make a difference this November. Jim, thank you for your introduction. Look forward to being around this afternoon.